The Red Sox just made their first roster move in basically an entire month, so let's break it down. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and happy spring training month. That's right, baseball is back at the end of this month. Feels good to say because this offseason's felt like it's lasted an entire lifetime, and honestly, hasn't been a very particularly good one. But that's not what we're talking about today, because yesterday, the Red Sox made their first 40-man roster move in basically an entire month. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down this move, talk about who's coming in, how they could fit into 2024, who's going out, how that could affect 2024, and ultimately try and decide if this is anything worth paying attention to. But before we get into that, do me a favor. The hunt for 10,000 subscribers is officially on. We are about 1,100 subscribers away from that 10,000 subscriber mark. If you're new here, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. We talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so the actual move itself that took place yesterday unfortunately wasn't a big free agent signing, or it wasn't some massive trade. Instead, it was a waiver claim by the Boston Red Sox, which led to the DFA of someone on the Red Sox 40-man roster. Still, something to take note of as we go into the 2024 season. And what we're going to start with today is we're going to start by talking about who was added to the Red Sox roster, what his impact could look like, before we get into who's leaving and why that could impact the Red Sox. And the person the Red Sox picked up on the waiver wire was former Chicago White Sox utility man Romy Gonzalez. Probably not a name you recognize immediately, mostly because he's not a big name player, but also because he hasn't spent a ton of time in Major League Baseball. So far, his career over parts of 3 seasons has been highlighted by the fact that he's extremely versatile. He is the true definition of a utility man. In parts of those 3 seasons, he has played basically every single position on the diamond possible, aside from first base and obviously catcher. He spent time at second, short, third, left field, center field, and even right field as well. Now, defensively, he's not exactly a stellar defender, specifically in the outfield, where he has a total of -4 defensive runs saved, but he is pretty solid on the infield. He has basically dead even in terms of defensive runs saved, -1 to 0, depending on where you look. So the big highlight here is that he's basically a Swiss Army knife. He can play every single position on the diamond. Offensively, there isn't really much to talk about. He hasn't been very successful at the plate in his limited time at the Major League level, which is just basically over half a season, 86 games over 3 separate years. In those 86 games, though, he has a .222 average, a .239 on base percentage, and a .361 slug, good for a dead even 600 OPS or a 64 OPS plus. Basically, in his time at the Major League level, he's been about 36% less productive at the plate than the average hitter in the game. He especially struggled last year, where he had a .194 average, a .208 on base percentage, and a .376 slug, good for just a 55 OPS plus. Again, about 45% below league average production, which ended up basically leading to his DFA from the Chicago White Sox and allowed the Red Sox to pick him up. Now, I know the majority of comments on this video is, oh, this is barrel scraping, this is the cheapskate owners doing this thing again. And yeah, you might be right, but also at the same time too, there could be some benefits to this move. I think the most important one is depth is really important for the Red Sox. Injury happens all the time, and we as Red Sox fans absolutely know what the impact of an injury could look like over the last couple of seasons, right? We basically lost 2 seasons due to injury and a lack of depth, so bringing in a guy who is a depth piece for the Red Sox is never a bad thing. I don't think this guy is going to end up on the 26-man roster. He does have 2 options left, so they probably will start the year on the 40-man in AAA. This probably isn't a guy we're going to see a whole lot of. This is a break glass in case of emergency type pickup, but those are important to have on the Boston Red Sox. Is it front page news? No, absolutely not, but we've seen it in the past where guys like Yu Chang and Pablo Reyes come in as sort of similar scenarios, right? Where they didn't have a ton of success at the Major League level, where they didn't look like they were going to be any impact on the Red Sox, and then they come up due to injury and they do something that helps the Red Sox win. These are the type of guys you need as you get through a 162 game season, so there is some benefit to having him here. He also does have some potential with his bat. In AAA in 2021, he had his best season where he hit 370 with a 417 on base percentage and a 704 OPS, which led to a 191 WRC plus in AAA. At just 27 years old, maybe there is something within his bat that the Red Sox believe they can pull out of and make him a slightly productive player that, again, in case you actually need him at the major league level, he can be productive. Again, I point back to players like Yu Chang and Pablo Reyes. When they were picked up by the Red Sox, it was also similar. Oh, they're barrel scraping. Oh, they're being cheapskates. But what ended up happening based on injuries and lack of depth is these guys were given an opportunity, and Yu Chang helped this team defensively while Pablo Reyes helped this team offensively. Now, I'm not saying Romy Gonzalez is going to be a key factor in the 2024 season. He might not even see the big leagues in 2024. He has those options, but realistically, what I'm saying is that this is just another addition to a safety net that needs to be built while you're going through 162 games, because anything can happen, and having as much safety net as possible, guys with major league experience, is really important. Realistically, this is something we will probably forget about over the next couple of months. In my opinion, this isn't something to get super pumped about. This also isn't something to get super upset about. No, they're not barrel scraping. No, they're not being cheap. This is just simply adding depth to a roster, which every team in Major League Baseball does. Now, in terms of who was removed from the 40-man roster, in order to make room for Romy Gonzalez, the Red Sox DFA'd one Zack Weiss, a relief pitcher who saw very minimal innings in his Red Sox tenure. In his time with the Sox, he just pitched 6 innings at the Major League level, where he did have a fairly successful 6 innings with a 2.08 ERA, but a really high 5.79 FIP and a 2.27 ERA plus. Honestly, not really much to go off of there, but I do think this indicates something important. What I think this indicates is that the Red Sox are comfortable with the depth currently in the bullpen, specifically with sort of those last roster spots in the bullpen, whether that be comfortability in their additions that they made this offseason and guys like Justin Slayton, or whether that be comfortability in their ability to improve players on the roster that were here last year, like Chris Murphy. I think it points to the fact that the Red Sox believe they have a good amount of depth in their bullpen, which I have to agree with, right? They brought in a couple of different guys. Brian Mata is going to be a part of this situation this year. You've got Andrew Bailey working with some of the players last year who showed that they could be significant players but never really got there. This could be a really solid bullpen. The fact that they're comfortable with where it's at, to me, is a really good sign. Overall, when we're looking at this move, I don't hate it. I don't think this is super significant. Again, realistically, if there was anything else going on in the Red Sox world, we probably wouldn't have even noticed this move happening, but because this was the very first 40-man roster move since they added Lucas Giolito on January 2nd and DFA'd Mauricio Llovera, it becomes a bit more highlighted and a bit more of something to talk about. In terms of what the actual move itself means, again, I don't think we're going to be missing Zack Weiss. I don't think this is someone in 6 months we're going to be looking back on and being like, man, I wish this bullpen had Zack Weiss in it. I think he probably lands on his feet somewhere, having some success at the Major League level last year. He's a depth piece. Maybe we see him on the Tigers or the Angels or the Seattle Mariners or something like that, but I don't think this is someone who we're going to be like, oh man, I really miss him. I don't hate the addition of Romy Gonzalez. Again, I think depth is extremely important to any successful Major League team. You need as many backup plans as humanly possible. In my opinion, Romy Gonzalez falls into plan D, E, or F, where you've exhausted pretty much all your options and need to get in there and just get someone to eat innings. He does have some Major League experience. He can play all over the diamond. He maybe not super successful at the plate, but he does have some potential at the plate. Maybe there's something the Red Sox can bring out there. Overall, again, I think this is sort of a nothing burger. I think realistically, this is something we're probably not going to look back on in 6 months and be like, man, thank God the Red Sox picked up Romy, because I don't know where this team would be without him, but who knows? Again, crazier things have happened, and this is all just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Do you like this move? Do you not like this move? Do you care about this move at all, aside from the fact that it's the only move the Red Sox have made in the last month total. Let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox picking up Romy Gonzalez and DFA'ing Zack Weiss in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, again, 1,100 subscribers away from 10,000. So if you want to help us get there, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.